Good morning. Welcome to the online class of Biology class 10th. In the last class, we had studied circulatory system in session 3. We had seen about the blood platelets, that was the thrombocytes. I had explained you about the function of platelets, where the how the clotting of blood takes place. That is, coagulation was explained to you. Next, through figure, this blood clotting was also explained to you, okay, and the main reaction that are taking place during blood clotting. Furthermore, when we moved ahead, we had seen blood clotting, how does it takes place in test tube. When the blood clotting means when it is blood is kept in test tube, how does the blood clotting takes place, okay, and what are the criteria. Then we had seen the blood transfusion and blood groups. We came to know about this ABO system and RH system, okay. Then we had seen this ABO system and RH system separately, and at last we had seen the RH factor during pregnancy, okay. So what is the importance of RH factor during pregnancy? And I gave some homework questions. Hope you might have written those questions in your class, in your homework copy, means the copy where you are making the notes. There itself you might have written the answers of those questions. Let us move in today's session, that is session 4. Okay, we will move ahead, and what we are going to see today in session 4, basically we will be studying about the heart. Okay, as we all know, heart is the very important organ of our body. Why it is very important organ? Because it pumps the blood. Okay, blood is considered as the life of any living organism. Okay, so it pumps the blood to all the parts of the body wherever it is required, isn't it? We will be understanding the location, where is the blood located. Then we will be seeing the different chambers in the human heart, with how many chambers are present basically in the mammalian heart. That we will be seeing. Along with that, we will be also we will be given the definition of coronary sulcus. What actually is coronary sulcus? Then we will move ahead with blood vessels that are entering and leaving the heart. That we will be understanding. After that, we will be knowing about coronary arteries. Okay. Yeah, one thing you need to keep in mind, wherever you get the word coronary, it means it is related to heart. Okay. So coronary arteries, the arteries which are related to heart. Usually arteries carry oxygenated blood. Okay, so those arteries which will carry oxygenated blood, that means they will supply the oxygenated blood to the heart. So that we will be understanding. Then we will be understanding a term, that is heart, which can be considered as a bank cashier. How can it be considered as a bank cashier? That also I will be explaining you today. Then there are certain valves which are present in the heart to prevent the backflow of blood. Okay, the basic function of this valves is to prevent the backflow of any kind of liquid. Here in the heart, it prevents the backflow of blood. Then we'll be moving further, and we'll be understanding about the circulation of blood, and how does the circulation, the whole circulation process, or the circulatory process, does takes place in the heart. We will be understanding about heartbeat and the cardiac cycle, and we will be understanding the definition and what is actually pulse rate. You might have felt your throbbing of the heart when you put your this finger, index finger, near your this wrist. Okay, and when you will try to feel on the radial arteries, you will get the pulsating sound. Okay, that is how the pulse rate is calculated. That also will be explained to you. Then the heart sounds. You may have heard the heart makes a sound, that is lub and dub. Okay, so that we will be understanding how these sounds are created, or how this sound is made. And then we will be seeing what is blood pressure. Okay, the pressure with which the blood will move into the blood vessels, that actually is called as the blood pressure. And lastly, in today's session, we will be observing what is hypertension. Hypertension is high blood pressure. Okay, so these all topics we are going to cover up in today's session, that is session 4, okay, of this chapter, the circulatory system. Okay, so we will be studying all these topics through the PowerPoint presentation that I have prepared for you. Chapter 8, the circulatory system. Okay, this is session 4. Let us see what we are going to study in this PowerPoint. First of all, we'll be studying about the heart. I'll be giving you an introduction about the heart. Then we'll be following through the blood vessels that are entering and leaving the heart. I'll be explaining you about coronary arteries. Then circulation of blood in heart, heartbeat, pulse rate, the heart sound, blood pressure, and at last hypertension. The heart. Where is heart located? You may have seen many people, you may also feel the heart is, you can feel the beating of the heart towards the left side of your chest. Is your heart located towards the left side of your chest? No, it is actually a misconception that heart is located towards the left side of the chest. Basically, the heart is located in the center of the chest. The heart is right in the center between the two lungs and above the diaphragm. Just above the diaphragm, between the two lungs, is the heart situated. Okay, then why do we feel the beating of the heart towards the left side? That also we will be understanding in this topic itself. The narrow end of the roughly triangular heart is pointed towards the left side. Okay, if you see the structure of heart, basically it is roughly triangular in shape. Okay, and the pointed portion, that is which consists of the two ventricles, it has got thick walls. It is pointed towards the left side. Okay, and the ventricles beat hard. It pumps very hardly to pump the blood to various parts of the body, to the parts that is assigned to it, and that is that heart beating gives the sensation of the presence of heart towards the left side. During working, the contraction of the heart is most powerful at the end, feeling the heart in the left side. This is what I have explained you just now, that when the heart works, that means the working of the heart is pumping. When the heart pumps, the contraction of the heart is most powerful at this end, means at the apical end, towards the left out, towards the the narrow portion of the heart. Okay, it is much powerful at this end, feeling the heart, that the heart is located in the left side, means both the ventricles are present in the apical portion or the apex, okay, or the lower portion, or the portion which is tapering, okay, and the heart is somewhat tilted towards the left side. This makes the heart to feel at the left side. Covering. The heart in adult human is about the size of a closed fist. If you close your fist, that will be the size of your heart. Okay, that is 12 centimeter in length and 9 centimeters in width. Coming to the covering, the heart is having a protective covering of a double-walled membranous sheath or membranous covering is present, which is called pericardium. Both the pericardium, the two layers of pericardium, in between that a pericardial fluid is present. The presence of this pericardial fluid basically is to prevent the shock, or it acts as a shock absorber, and also it helps to reduce the friction because the heart is continuously pumping. It contains a lubricating pericardial fluid, okay, between the two double-walled membranous pericardium. A pericardial fluid is present, which reduces the friction during the heartbeat and also protects it from mechanical injuries. Chambers of the heart. Basically, when we are talking about the mammalian heart, that is the heart of the human, how many chambers are present? There are 4 chambers present in the heart. It consists of 4 chambers, 2 upper atria, which is called as the auricle, and singularly it is also called as the atrium, and 2 lower ventricles, means 2 auricles and 2 ventricles. So the auricles or the atria which is situated to the left, so that will be the left atria or the left auricle, and which is located towards the right side, that will be the right auricle or the right atria. Similarly, the ventricle which is located towards the left side will be left ventricle, and the one which is situated towards the right side will be right ventricle. The atria, they are also called as auricle, as I have already told. They have thinner walls. So auricles have thinner. This you need to keep in mind. It's a very important point that auricles have thinner walls because their major function is to receive blood. Okay, the basic function of this auricles is to only receive blood and pass it to the next chambers. The chambers which are located beneath that is the 2 ventricles. Okay, is to receive the blood from the body and pump into the very next ventricles. Means they need not to pump the blood to very farthest or very far point or very far places of the body. That is why the pumping will be not very hard, okay, as compared to the ventricles. On the other hand, the ventricles have thick muscular walls. This thickness of the muscular walls help it to pump the blood more harshly. Because why are the muscular wall thick? Because they have to pump the blood to long distances. Long distances means to the tip of the toe and against the gravity towards the brain. The right ventricle pumps the blood to long distances. The right ventricle pumps the blood only to the lungs for oxygenation. Actually, it will be the left ventricle. The first one will be the left ventricle will pump the. There's a what you can say. It's written wrong. Okay, the left ventricle basically pumps the blood to long distances towards the tip of our toes. On the other hand, the right ventricle will pump the blood only to the lungs. Okay, so when this right ventricle will when it is pumping the blood to the lungs for oxygen, what kind of blood will it be? It will be deoxygenated blood. That is why it is being taken towards the lungs for getting it oxygenated. The left ventricle pumps it up to the farthest point. You can see here, now the left ventricle will pump the blood to the farthest point in the body, such as to the tip of the toes, in the feet, and up to the brain. That will be against the gravity. Okay, and that is the reason the wall of the ventricles are thicker, basically that of the left ventricle. Next is coronary sulcus. What is coronary sulcus? I have told you the upper 2 chambers are called as the atria or the atrium, and the lower 2 chambers are termed as the ventricles. So this atria and the ventricles, that is left and right atria and ventricles, in left and right atria and left and right ventricles. The atria are separated from the ventricles by this what you can say separation. Okay, and this separation is only termed as coronary sulcus. Okay, this is the point of separation which demarks the atria from the ventricle. The auricle and ventricle are separated by this coronary sulcus. So you need to just know about this, that the atria are separated from the ventricle by a coronary sulcus. So here you can see the front view of the human heart. How does it looks like? Okay, you can see here. See, since this is not the internal, it is not cut. Okay, that is why you cannot see the internal portion, the chambers you cannot see, but still externally you can see the various parts. You can see here the left ventricle. The heart is roughly tilted towards the left side. This is the apical portion. Okay, the tapering end. Okay, the lower portion consists of the ventricles: left ventricle, right atrium or the right auricle, and left auricle. Okay, or left atrium. Then you can see the various blood vessels that are originating and that are entering the heart. Okay, you can see here this left coronary vein. Okay, left coronary artery. The left coronary artery will supply the blood to the heart. the vein will collect the deoxygenated blood from the heart. Okay, you can see here the pulmonary veins. Pulmonary veins means the veins that are coming, since this is vein, but usually we know that all the veins carry deoxygenated blood, but in our body only one exception vein is there, that is this pulmonary vein that carries oxygenated blood. Actually it brings oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart. Okay, in the left atrium, the left auricle. From there it will be pumped into the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle it will be taken to the various parts of the body where this oxygenated blood is required. Okay, then you can see here the various other blood vessels like the superior vena cava, right pulmonary artery, then pulmonary trunk, right pulmonary vein, then right coronary artery, left ventricle is here, right coronary vein. So right coronary vein, right coronary artery, basically they supply oxygenated and deoxygenated blood to the right part of the heart respectively. Okay, so this is a diagram that you need to understand. Okay, the various parts of the heart in its frontal view. Now let us see what are the blood vessels that enter and leave the heart. First of all, we will be seeing the blood vessels that enter the heart. The right atrium receives two large anterior vena cava, two large vessels. The one is anterior vena cava and the other is posterior vena cava. Okay, so right atrium, since the heart is receiving the blood, and right atrium will receive deoxygenated blood from the anterior, the anterior portion, anterior vena cava will bring, and from the posterior or the bottom portion, that is posterior portion, that is when posterior vena cava will bring the blood to the heart. Anterior vena cava, it is also called superior vena cava or precaval. Now these things you need to keep in mind, that what is the other name of anterior vena cava. It may be asked in 1 marks question in the board. The other name of anterior vena cava is superior vena cava, or sometimes they may use the term precaval, so you may get confused. That is why you should know the name of all the terms. Okay, so you can see here what is the function of this anterior vena cava. I have told you this anterior vena cava brings the blood from the anterior part of the body to the heart. Okay, so it will bring what kind of blood? It brings deoxygenated blood. Okay, the blood which is in which the carbon dioxide content is high. Okay, it will bring deoxygenated blood from the anterior or the upper region of the body, that will include the heart, chest and arm. Now let us see the next one, posterior, or it is also called as inferior vena cava. So what is the basic function of this inferior vena cava or posterior vena cava? It will bring blood from the posterior or lower portion of the body, that will include abdomen, and here also in posterior vena cava will bring what kind of blood? Deoxygenated blood from the lower portion or lower region of the body. So you need to keep in mind that this vena cava, that is anterior vena cava and posterior vena cava, basically bring deoxygenated blood from the anterior and posterior parts of our body. What kind of blood it will be? It will be deoxygenated blood. Now the blood vessels which are leaving the heart, means the blood vessels that will come out from the heart. Arising from the ventricles are two large blood vessels. From the ventricular portion, there are two large blood vessels which arises. First one is pulmonary artery. Okay, pulmonary artery. One thing you need to keep in mind, whenever you see the word pulmonary, it means it is related to the lungs. Okay, so this pulmonary artery will form the connection between the heart and the lungs. Okay, and this pulmonary artery, now artery, usually we know that artery carries oxygenated blood. Okay, so but in this pulmonary artery is an exceptional. Okay, it is the name is exceptional as it carries deoxygenated blood. You can see here pulmonary artery arises from the right ventricle. Okay, from the right ventricle. Okay, as I have already told, the right auricle will collect deoxygenated blood. Okay, and it will push the blood to the right ventricle. Okay, from the right ventricle the blood is the deoxygenated blood is carried to the lungs through the pulmonary artery. Okay, why it is taken to the lungs? For getting it oxygenated, for the oxygenation purpose. The next blood vessel that arises from the heart is aorta. Okay, it arises from the left ventricle. Okay, so left ventricle will contain what kind of blood? It will contain oxygenated blood, since it is getting the blood from the left auricle. Okay, left auricle also containing what kind of blood? Oxygenated blood. So left ventricle, we will carry oxygenated blood to supply it to all the parts of the body, to all the cells of the body which require oxygenated blood, that will be supplied by this aorta. Now the coronary arteries, already I have given you the introduction about the coronary arteries, means the arteries which supplies the blood to the heart. There are two coronary arteries, that are left coronary artery and right coronary artery respectively, that arise from the base of the aorta. Okay, we all know that aorta carries oxygenated blood. Okay, so from that these two coronary arteries that arise, one that is right coronary artery, that will supply the blood to the right part, okay, or right part of the heart, and the left coronary artery will supply the blood to the left part of the heart. These supply blood to the heart muscles. Okay, because the heart also requires blood for its proper functioning. Suppose when there is a blockage in the coronary artery, okay, means when there is a blockage in the coronary artery, it means coronary artery will be unable to supply oxygenated blood to the walls of the heart. Okay, when it will be when it is unable to supply blood to the walls of the heart, what will happen? You can see here the artery, or in the any one more of its branches, there is a deadening of the corresponding area. Means that area of the heart which where this coronary artery is having blockage, that area will not receive the oxygenated blood, and that deadening will occur in that area. Okay, in the heart muscles of that area. This will lead to myocardial infarction, okay, which is also in common term called as heart attack. You need to keep in mind what is myocardial infarction. What actually happens in myocardial infarction? Due to the blockage of coronary artery, when the walls of the heart are not supplied with oxygenated blood. So deadening of the walls of the heart takes place, which leads to myocardial infarction. The coronary veins collect the blood from the heart walls and pour it into the right auricles. Okay, now I have explained you about coronary arteries, coronary veins. So what is the function of these coronary veins? They will collect the blood, the deoxygenated blood from the heart, because heart walls also will utilize the blood, means the oxygen, okay, to carry out their function. Okay, and the dirty blood from the heart, and they will be poured into the right auricle. From there it will be pumped to the right ventricle, and from there it will be taken for oxygenation purpose to the lungs. Now angina pectoris, this is also a very important term that you need to know. What is angina pectoris? Actually angina pectoris is a chest pain that occurs due to insufficient supply of blood to the heart muscle. So when there is insufficient supply of, when will be there an insufficient supply of blood? When there is blockage in the coronary artery, then there will be an insufficient supply of the blood, due to which there will be a chest pain that will arise, and that is only termed as angina pectoris. In common term it is called as angina pain. Here you can see here the internal structure of the human heart and the associated blood vessels. This is a diagrammatic structure that will show the blue color. You can see the portion which is blue color, that is carrying deoxygenated blood, and the portion that is red in color, that is showing it is carrying that chamber of the heart is carrying oxygenated blood. Usually this is the left side, which includes the left ventricle and the left auricle. whereas on the other side is the right ventricle and the right auricle. Okay, you can see here these ventricles, both the left and the right ventricle are separated by this septum. You can see here the septum is present, and the flow of the blood from the auricles to the ventricles it does not flow takes place simply. Actually, there are some what you can say valves are present. The basic function of this valves is to prevent the backflow of the blood. You can see here the semilunar pockets or the semilunar valves of the pulmonary arteries are present here. Then bicuspid or mitral valve is also the basic function of these valves is to prevent the backflow of the blood. Okay, then you can see here that this tricuspid valve, three flaps are present. Then you already know about this right auricle, pulmonary veins, pulmonary artery already. So this structure basically explains, or it basically shows the various what you can say the chambers, how does it looks from inside, and the various valves that prevents the backflow of the blood, and the various separations which are present between the chambers, that is the two ventricles, okay, and the ventricles and the auricles, that is being shown over here. Okay, now the heart, it can be considered as a bank cashier. Why a heart can be considered as a bank cashier? Let us see. A bank cashier, what is the function, what is the duty of a bank cashier? You may have visited a bank. Okay, so when you have to submit money or when you have to collect the money, there is a person sitting there who deals with that, isn't it? He is having so much of cash, he gives you the cash, whatever you require, whatever you fill in the paper. Okay, and suppose you have gone to submit, he will count it and just collect it. Okay, so that is carried out by the bank cashier. Okay, so he will handle so much of money every day, means every day lakhs of money he is handling. Okay, but is he able to use any of that money for himself? No. But what he can use for himself is the salary. Okay, what he can use, he cannot use the money that is being handled that he is handling, that is the money that is being handed over to him. He cannot use that money except the salary which is being given at the end of the month. This is similarly true for the heart, and this is also true. This very condition is also very much similar or very true in the case of heart. How it is very similar? Because the heart also deals with, since it pumps the blood to all the parts of the body, but it cannot utilize that blood for its own. Okay, it has got for its usage, the blood is supplied by the coronary arteries only. Okay, this you need to keep in mind, as it handles so much blood every minute, but it can use only that much which it gets through the coronary arteries, supplying it to its muscular walls. Okay, it can use only that much it is getting from the coronary arteries, and that will be supplied to the muscular walls of the heart. In this way, heart can be considered as a bank cashier. Now we will be seeing the various valves that are present in the heart. There are basically 4 valves which are present in the heart. Let us see what are those. The first one is right atrioventricular valve. This right atrioventricular valve is located at the aperture between aperture means between the opening between the right auricle and right ventricle. So that the point of junction where this right auricle and right ventricle will meet, okay, there is an aperture. So at this aperture, this right atrioventricular valve is present. Now again, what is the function of this right atrioventricular valve? To prevent the backflow of blood from the right ventricle towards the right auricle. It has 3 thin triangular leaf-like flap. If you cut the cross section of this right atrioventricular valve, okay, you will find it is having 3 flap-like or cusp-like structure. Therefore, it is also called as tricuspid valve. This right atrioventricular valve is also termed as tricuspid valve. The apex, if you see the apex of this flap, These are held in position by a tendinous cord, okay, thread-like structures, which are tendinous cords are present at the apical or the end portion, okay, the portion which is free in the lumen, okay. That end is what you can say, it is joined or it is held in position by a tendinous cord, which is called as chordae tendineae. Okay, it is termed as chordae tendineae. They will arise from the muscular projection of the ventricle. They will arise from the muscular projection from the ventricular wall. Okay, and which is known as the papillary muscles. From the papillary muscles, they will arise and they will join to the apical portion of this flap. Okay, and they are termed as chordae tendineae. Okay, these are tendinous cord. This actually helps to what you can say, to turn, or what you can say, back turn of this flaps, prevents the backflow of the blood. It hinders these threads. Basically, they bring what you can say, a stoppage. Okay, they bring hindrance for the turning of the, or the opposite turning of the lumen of the flaps. Left atrioventricular valve is located in the similar way on the left side of the heart. Okay, so left atrioventricular valve is located on the similar, where it is located on the left side of the heart. It has two cusps. Okay, it has got two cusps, and therefore it is termed as bicuspid. Since two cusps or two flaps are there, it is termed as bicuspid, or the other name of this bicuspid is mitral valve. You need to keep in this mind. Where is this left atrioventricular valve present? Between the left atrium and left ventricle. Okay. Next one is pulmonary semilunar valve. These are located at the opening of the right ventricle into the pulmonary artery. Okay, we all know what kind of blood does this pulmonary artery contains. It contains deoxygenated blood. Okay, so the deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle, okay, there also a pulmonary some semilunar valve is present. The basic function is only to prevent the backflow of blood from the pulmonary artery into the right ventricle. These are pocket shaped and are 3 in number. Next one, aortic semilunar valves. The name itself suggests aortic. It means it will be present in the aorta. It is located at the point of origin of aorta and the left ventricle. Means from the left ventricle and the aorta, the juncture or the point of joining between these two, there a semilunar valve is present. The basic function of this valve is again the same, to prevent the backflow of the blood from the aorta into the left ventricle. These are also 3 in number and are pocket shaped. Now blood flow through the heart. How does it takes place? Blood flow will start with the contraction of the 2 auricles. Okay, we know that the heart contracts and relaxes. Okay, do you think all the 4 chambers contract and relax at the same time? No, it is not so. Actually, the auricles will contract first. When the both the auricles will contract, both the ventricles will relax. When the ventricles will contract, at that time the auricles will relax. Side by side, these two processes will take place. So it starts with the contraction of the 2 auricles. The ventricles at the same time are relaxing and they are empty, means no blood is there. Okay. Therefore, the blood from the atria passes into the ventricles easily, since the ventricles are empty and the auricles are contracting. When it will contract, it will push the blood from the auricular chamber into the ventricular chamber. Next, the ventricles will contract and the atria will relax. Now what will happen? Now in the next cycle, what will happen? Now the ventricles will contract. So what will happen? Do you think when ventricles will contract, the blood will move back into the atrium? No. Actually, I have told you, walls are present that will prevent the movement of the blood from the ventricles into the atria. Furthermore, what will happen? It will move towards the blood vessels, the respective blood vessels to which these ventricles are attached. The blood from the ventricles under pressure tends to return to the atria. But do you think it will return to the atria? No. There are flaps. But the flaps of the two cuspids valves get puffed up. Okay, they will turn, or they will swell up, or prevent, due to the presence of this chordae tendineae. Okay, they will prevent the backflow of the blood. This closes the passage and prevents the return of blood. Thus the blood cannot be returned into the auricles or the atrium. The chordae tendineae, I have told you now, the chordae tendineae holds the flaps of the valves in position. This chordae tendineae will hold the flaps in its position. It will not, allow the blood to get puffed up or turn back. This chordae tendineae can also be compared to the the ropes or thread of a parachute, as these threads only prevents when the air gets filled into the parachute, it becomes swelled up. Okay, it becomes puffed up. That is the condition that happens with the valves. Okay, this chordae tendineae, the same thing. It performs the same function. Okay, as the cords of a parachute. Okay. So overturning into the atria, this can be compared to the cords of the parachute. The only course left for the ventricular blood is to enter the pulmonary artery. Okay, now where the blood can go? Okay, it cannot go back into the respective auricles. Therefore, it will move into the pulmonary artery from the right ventricle, and aorta into the left ventricle, from the left ventricle. The mouths of the pocket-like valves at the bases of these two blood vessels face away from the ventricle. So the mouth of the pocket-like valves are present. They will face away from the ventricles to allow one-way direction of the blood. Therefore, the blood leaving the ventricles will press the walls flat, and it will get a clear. So it will press the walls and it will get a clear passage. But backflow of the blood cannot take place. When the ventricles dilate, the blood from the pulmonary artery and the aorta tends to return. So what happens when the ventricles will dilate, when their volume will increases, at that time the blood from the arteries and the aorta, they will tend to move back towards the ventricles. But do you think it can take place? The blood fills the pocket at that time. What will happen? The blood will fill the pocket of the wall, and at that time what will happen? The walls will close the passage. Means the backward flow of the blood cannot thus takes place. Let us see the next topic of the day, that is heartbeat and cardiac cycle. Working of heart includes rhythmic contraction and relaxation of auricles and ventricles. I have told you now, all the chambers of the heart do not contract and relax at the same time, but it takes place in rhythm, or rhythmic contraction takes place. Rhythmic contraction and relaxation of auricles and ventricles. The contraction phase is termed as systole. This is also a very important term that you need to keep in mind. Okay, that the contraction phase is called systole. The relaxation phase is called diastole. Thus, each heartbeat consists of two main steps. The atria contracts. First of all, what will happen? The atria contracts, first followed by the contraction of the ventricles. Okay, the atria contracts first, then the ventricles will contract after that. The contraction phase, already I have told you, systole. Okay, so first of all it will be atria that will go into systole. At that time the ventricles are in diastole. When the ventricles are in systole, the atria will be in diastole. Okay, that's just oppositely it will happen. Each full beat of human heart lasts for about 0.85 seconds. Means the full heartbeat, usually it will last for, the time period is given here, it lasts for 0.85 seconds. Out of this, the systole of auricles means the contraction phase of the auricle will last for about 0.15 seconds. Systole of ventricles, that is contraction phase of the ventricles, will last for 0.30 seconds, and all the chambers will relax. All the four chambers will also relax for some time, that is 0.40 seconds. Okay. At the end of ventricular systole, the ventricle starts to relax. So what will happen at the end of ventricular systole? The ventricle will start, and that is called as a ventricular diastole. Meanwhile, the auricles also have been relaxing. So what happens after that? The auricles also they go into relaxing mode, and that is what termed as atrial diastole. And for a short period, both the atria and the ventricles, they come in a relaxed phase. And then when both the atria and the ventricles are in relaxed phase, that is termed as joint diastole. The whole sequence of event in the heartbeat is called cardiac cycle. Okay, so this whole sequence, that is ventricular diastole, atrial diastole, atrial systole, okay, or joint diastole altogether, it will constitute the cardiac cycle. This is together called as the cardiac cycle. Now the next thing is the rate of the heartbeat, or the pulse rate. How can you measure the pulse rate? You can put your index finger on your wrist, okay, and we know superficially that if you try to feel the radial artery of your wrist, you will find a pulsating sound, okay, a pulsating sensation. That only gives you the correct pulse rate. The rhythmic contraction of the heart can also be felt in the arteries in the form of pulsations or at small jerks. Okay, this actually the blood in the arteries, it flows through in the form of spurts or jerks. Okay, that can be felt, and this is only called as the pulse. Each ventricular systole starts with a new pulse. Okay, so when a ventricular systole will always start with a new pulse. The pulse rate is same as the rate, that is 68 to 72 times per minute. Means in 1 minute 68 to 72 times this pulsations can be felt. It may increase also. When it will increase, it will increase when you are doing some rigorous work, rigorous exercise, running exercise, or anything when you are doing. Pulse rate can be felt in the radial artery at the wrist. Now the next thing, that is the sound which is created in the heart, that is lub and dub sound. Heart sound can be heard on the chest with the help of an instrument which is called a stethoscope. You may have seen doctors in their neck, they are having an instrument by which they are putting on your chest and hearing the heartbeat. That is only called as the stethoscope. The lub sound, how it is created? The lub sound is produced when the ventricles contract. When the ventricles will contract and the atrioventricular valve gets closed. We know when the ventricles will contract, it will push the blood towards the auricle. At that time, the atrioventricular valve will get closed sharply. Due to the sharp closure of this atrioventricular valve, a sound is created that is called as lub. And this occurs at the beginning of the ventricular systole. On the other hand, the dub sound is produced by the closure of the semilunar valve at the root of aorta and pulmonary artery. Aorta, usually it carries what kind of blood? It carries oxygenated blood. Okay, oxygenated blood, it will supply the blood to the pulmonary artery. From pulmonary artery, it will be supplied, the oxygenated blood will be supplied from the pulmonary artery. Okay, at the beginning of, due to the closure of this semilunar valve, in the beginning of this ventricular diastole, this sound is created that is called as dub. Okay, so lub sound is created due to the closure of this atrioventricular valve, and dub sound is created by the closure of semilunar valve, okay, which is present at the root of aorta and pulmonary artery. Now, what is blood pressure? Let us see what is blood pressure. We know blood flows into the blood vessels with a pressure. Okay, so sometimes it flows at a very high speed, at a very high pressure. Sometimes the pressure is less. Okay, so blood pressure is the pressure which is exerted by the blood discharge due to the contraction of left ventricle. When the left ventricle will contract, the blood will be discharged into the blood vessels. Okay, the blood discharge due to the contraction of the left ventricle on the wall of the blood vessels. So on the walls of the blood vessels, a pressure is exerted. Okay, when the blood is poured into the blood vessels, that is only termed as blood pressure. Blood pressure is maximum in the arteries during the ventricular systole, that is ventricular contraction. When the ventricles contract during the ventricular systole, the blood pressure will be maximum in the arteries. It gradually drops in arterioles, and it will drop in the arterioles. From the arteries, the blood will move into the arterioles, from the arterioles into the capillaries, and so on. So as it will move further, the pressure will drop down, okay, in arterioles and capillaries, and it will become very low as when it will move in the veins. Blood pressure, how it is measured? As the systolic pressure exerted during the ventricular contraction, that is the ventricular systole, that is the systolic pressure. The systolic pressure is about 120 mm of Hg, that is mercury, in the normal person. Okay, it is measured by an instrument. This blood pressure is measured by an instrument called sphygmomanometer. Okay, you may have seen the doctor, when the doctor or the nurse measures the blood pressure of a patient in a hospital or in a clinic. The diastolic pressure exerted during the relaxation of ventricles. When the ventricles are in a relaxation mode, at that time the pressure which is exerted is the diastolic pressure, which is at the time of ventricular diastole. It will be lesser, that is, it is about 80 mm of mercury in a normal person. So a normal person is having blood pressure 120 by 80, means systolic pressure upon diastolic pressure. This is the normal pressure, or normal person having a pressure of 120 mm Hg upon 80 mm Hg. So this is the normal pressure, blood pressure of a person. Now the last topic of the day we will be seeing, that is hypertension. Hypertension basically is what? It is high blood pressure. Okay, when the blood starts to flow at a very high pressure in the blood vessels, that is termed as hypertension. Okay, sometimes it's a kind of disease basically, and suppose if the pressure increases too much, what can happen? Sometimes the walls of the capillaries can rupture. Okay, the blood vessels, the walls, they can rupture, leading which can lead to what you can say, internal bleeding, and that may lead to sometimes death also. Blood pressure, when it is above 120 or 130 millimeter Hg, it is called high blood pressure or hypertension. It is mainly due to the narrowing of the arterial lumen. When the lumen of the arteries, they become narrow due to some genetic condition, or due to some deposition of the substances, or due to some other diseases, or some other reasons, maybe diseases. Okay, that may occur due to thickening of the walls of the arteries. Basically, it will lead to the narrowing of the arterial lumen. So what will happen when the lumen of the arteries will become narrow? The pressure will increase. The blood pressure will be increased. Means the blood will exert more pressure, and the condition will be termed as hypertension. Very high blood pressure can lead to rupture of capillaries. Suppose as I have already told you, when the blood pressure is very high, that can also lead to rupture of capillaries or allergies that may cause internal bleeding. So it may lead to internal bleeding, sometimes hemorrhage also. Okay, and that can prove to be fatal for a person. So this is all about for today's topic that I have taken, the heart, and the various topics related to it. In the today's session, whatever topic I have taken, that is completed. So you need to hear the lecture very well. Please go through the textbook that is provided to you. Read the textbook, try to solve the questions which are attributed to the to this part of explanation in the textbook. Okay, there are some questions that I have selected from the book itself that you need to write in your copy. That will be upon the understanding of today's lecture. Let us see the homework. The very first question is, why are the walls of the ventricles more muscular than the walls of the atria? So you need to find out the answer either from the book or from the lecture of the day. The very next question is, what do you mean by systole and diastole? You need to write what is systole and what is diastole separately. The very third question will be, name the contraction phase of heart. What is the contraction phase of the heart called as? And last but not the least is, what is coronary sulcus? This question is also very important. It has been explained to you during the lecture. So please find out the answers of this question and write it in your copy. Okay, so this you need to study, okay, and complete your work, okay, and go through your textbooks. So study well, study hard. Good day.